Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. If you've not already seen it, Tesco have just released a brand new advert that's promoting their new Plant Chef vegan range.
Chloe walks in from school.
Daddy,
She says,
I don't want to eat animals anymore.
I blooming love my meat, but not as much as I love my little girl. That's why we've made some changes to our old favourite, sausage casserole a la Carl. Now with meat-free Cumberlands, but still with my magic touch, cumin, coriander and a dollop of mango chutney. Just as tasty as it used to be.
Better, actually.
Now, predictably, the National Farmers Union are outraged that Tesco have had the audacity to reflect the changing attitudes of society rather than promoting the National Farmers Union preferred antiquated views surrounding animal exploitation. The National Farmers Union president, Minette Batters, decided to take it upon herself to write to Tesco's so they could see exactly how outraged all the farmers are about this one advert out of hundreds that shows that some children don't want to eat animals anymore. She claims that the advert demonizes meat as a food group, but how fragile do you have to be to actually think that that's the message in the advert? All that's seen in the advert is a daughter going to her father, telling him that she no longer wants to eat animals. There's no reasoning, there's no explanation, there's no discussion about the ethical or environmental implications of eating meat. That's all it is. So how can that possibly demonize meat as a food group? Minette Batters also says that she is concerned about the language that is used in the advert. And now the only word I can think that she'd be possibly concerned with is the word animals. The fact that Carl's daughter refers to meat as consuming animals. But that's exactly what it is. Meat is animal flesh. Meat comes from animals. I mean, for goodness sake, Minette, you are an animal farmer. Why are they so afraid of people objectively stating what meat actually is? Now, the animal agriculture industry is incredibly fearful that people will make associations between the language and what actually happens in reality, which means that they're worried that consumers will make the most obvious of realizations when they hear Carl's daughter using the word animals. That realization being, of course, that meat farming involves animals. But the president of the National Farmers Union will be acutely aware that people don't like to think about animals having their throats cut or being forced into gas chambers. And that's where they talk about humane slaughter and paint farming as being some sort of idyllic scenario where it's all about compassion and love. Because if you stated what objectively happens, that being that animals are mutilated, castrated, have their teeth cut out, their tails docked, they're forcibly impregnated, they have their babies taken away from them, they're locked in metal cages where they can't even turn around, they're loaded into trucks and trailers taken to slaughterhouses where they're shackled by their feet, have blades pulled across their throat, or are loaded into gas chambers where they scream to death. What actually happens kind of disputes the idea that something can be humane in a slaughterhouse, or that farming is about compassion and love. However, it seems that Minette and the rest of the National Farmers Union have never heard of the Streisand Effect, a phenomenon where in an attempt to censor information, you actually do the opposite and allow that information to be heard by more people. Case in point, the National Farmers Union outrage about the advert has actually led to it being debated on numerous occasions, both on television and on radio over the past week, meaning that messages like this have been heard by millions of people.
We're taught as children to love animals and to care for them, and most children do love animals. And if they knew that actually they were getting brutally slaughtered for us to eat, I think they'd be quite shocked.
I think many farmers, I mean, obviously this is a very contentious issue. You use the word brutally slaughtered,
well, having the throat slit,
which is quite emotive.
They have their throat slit.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the full common practice.
That is.
They're killed
that
with
is common
bolts as
practice.
well. But they're dead. They're dead first.
No, they're not.
Well, there we go. We can't get into a conversation about
I know, I understand.
Not only that, but you can be absolutely certain that millions more people are now consequently aware that Tesco, the largest supermarket chain in the UK, have just released an affordable range of plant-based foods and ready meals, which makes you think, because vegans were always going to buy those products, and the people who wanted to support that range are still going to support that range. But how about all the people that are wandering down the meat aisle, which is where these products have been placed? How many of them do you think are going to see these items and think, I wonder what that fuss is about? Maybe I'll try these and take them home. So, Minette, you've actually inadvertently shot yourself in the foot, and I can quite happily say that I am very much looking forward to the next time that you become outraged by something. However, it wasn't just the National Farmers Union who were outraged by this advert. Janet Street Porter, a woman who just this week said that Prince Harry should have reined it in when he started getting emotional presenting an award called Most Inspirational Child, and also said that she didn't want men all around the country thinking that they could sob at every opportunity. a very befitting message during a time where male suicide rates have never been higher, partly caused by the fact that men don't want to express themselves emotionally. This is also the same Janet Street Porter who took two 20-week-old calves to a slaughterhouse to watch them being slaughtered for a TV programme and a paycheck.
David's time's up first, and as he's led into the stunning box, Janet has a change of heart and decides she wants to stay with him to the end.
In an article that she wrote for the Daily Mail, Janet refers to vegans as sensitive souls, which is absurdly ironic when you think about the fact that she's the one who's offended and upset by a TV advert, to the point that she's actually ranted about it on live television and has wrote this article, which makes you think, who's really the one with the sensitive soul?
I looked at this advert and I thought, what has happened? What world am I living in now?
She refers to the young girl in the advert as being a militant vegan. The word militant meaning that you favour violent approaches to social causes, which means that politely expressing to your father that you no longer want to be the reason that animals are killed makes you violent, but getting paid to take two calves to a slaughterhouse where they had their throats cut and their lives taken from them isn't. She says militant vegans are like Stalinists because we only see two kinds of diet. But if vegans are like Stalinists, what 20th century dictatorship do those who force animals into gas chambers most resemble? In the article, she refers to Tesco's head of plant-based innovation, Derek Sarno, as having a ridiculous job title, but to me that sounds a lot better than contestant on a reality TV show for low-grade celebrities seeking validation, also known as I'm a Celebrity.
Listen, don't do that when we're cooking. It's so inappropriate.
Oh, come off it, man.
No, it's not.
She then says that nothing is on sale in Tesco unless it's going to make them profit, which means that at least Janet has grasped how a supermarket works. According to plant-based head of innovation Derek Sarno, the creators of the ad were encouraged to be brave, past the sick bag. Well, the fact that you've taken it upon yourself to consistently complain about the advert and even go as far as belittle the head chef behind the new product range kind of proves his point now, doesn't it? This is what modern life has come to, she says. Chloe isn't offered an Indian or ethnic vegetarian dish from an ancient culture, but some lab-made product that is Cumberland style. This is a classic tactic used to try and discredit plant-based foods. Like they're all produced in these laboratories like Frankenfoods, with scientists dressed in lab coats putting weird chemicals in Bunsen burners to see what they create. But in effect, these sausages, they're mushroom-based, and of course they were just created in the test kitchen. So according to Janet, consuming roasted mushrooms is disgusting, but consuming the carcinogenic flesh of an animal that was kept and enslaved in a concrete pen was packed full of antibiotics because of the proliferation of disease and bacteria in farming, was mutilated, exploited, then taken to a slaughterhouse where they were hung upside down, had the blade pulled across their throat, were butchered, cut open, had their feces-filled intestines pulled out, were then cut into bite-sized pieces for consumers who have to cook them at a high temperature to ensure they don't get sick, food poisoning, and become violently ill, vomiting and defecating, is delicious. She then points out that the UK has the highest welfare standards of any country in Europe, which isn't necessarily true as Switzerland and Austria also have the same rating as us, but of course that's entirely irrelevant. Exploitation is exploitation no matter how it is done. Of course it'd be better to stab someone in the leg once than stab someone in the leg 10 times, but that doesn't justify stabbing someone in the leg once. In the same way, just because other countries may have worse welfare conditions than we do in this country, doesn't mean that the way that we treat animals is morally justified as a result, especially when those welfare regulations encapsulate some of the horrible things that I've described earlier, such as mutilations. And all of that aside, we take their life from them unnecessarily, and of course we use words like humane to try and justify the action, but the word humane means having or showing compassion or benevolence, which means that humane slaughter is an oxymoron because we can never compassionately or benevolently take the life of someone who does not have to die and who has a value of life that far exceeds the sensory pleasure that we get from consuming them. Janet then says that how often we choose to eat meat is a personal choice, which of course it absolutely is. We do make a personal choice when deciding what products we want to consume. But every choice is a personal choice regardless of whether that choice is moral or immoral. And just because we personally choose to do something does not add any moral veracity to that action. So yes, it may well be a personal choice if we decide to consume animal products, but that doesn't mean that consuming animal products should be considered as right or ethical or moral. Janet then proves how normalised the proliferation of advertising glorifying the consumption of animal products has become. She says, but things have got so one-sided I can't imagine an ad for lamb chops in which Carl serves up free-range meat to Chloe. In the current climate, that's a non-starter. She fails, of course, to recognize that as soon as you turn on your TV or walk outside, you are bombarded by an endless stream of advertising that glorifies and even fetishizes the consumption of animal-based products. The advertising of animal products has become so abundant and normalized that we don't even consciously recognize that it exists in the volumes that it does. Instead, it just subconsciously and unconsciously reinforces our belief system and the way that we have always lived, to the point that one advert comes on TV promoting a vegan lifestyle and everyone loses their minds because of it. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can find some absurdity in the conversation that's taking place. But I, for one, welcome all the debates and all the conversation, because without it, the message of veganism and the message of animal rights and what's happening to animals and the reason for Carl's daughter to no longer want to consume animals wouldn't have been discussed nearly as far and wide. So on behalf of all vegans, thank you so much to Minette, the president of the National Farmers Union, and thank you to Janet Street Porter for bringing this advert to so many people's attention and hopefully making them aware now that Tesco have this vegan range, and hopefully encourage them to buy it as a result. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it. If you'd like to support my varying forms of activism, then you can do so by visiting my website, which is linked in the description. My website also talks about all the different things that I do, and you can also subscribe to my mailing list as well. So thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video.